So our next topic is the origin of angiosperms. Okay, this is the new topic, and from this topic we are going to understand what are the angiosperms. Okay, how they got originated, and what are the different families of the angiosperm. Okay, and once you start learning about the families, you should know its evolutionary significance as well. Okay, because UPSC mains examination always wanted you to know about the evolutionary significance of everything, whether it's the algae, whether it's the bryophyte, whether it's gymnosperm, angiosperm, or the pteridophyte. All the types of the plants, its evolutionary importance, it become very important from the UPSC mains examination point of view. Now, when we talk about the origin of angiosperm, we like to go in a detail because still the origin of angiosperm is still a mystery for the scientists across the world, that how these particular flowering plants got originated. Because as you know, when we have studied the algae, you came to know the different structures which are present in the algae. Then on the similar line, we have studied the bryophyte, then the pteridophyte, then the gymnosperms. Till the gymnosperm, we know there is a formation of the seed. But suddenly, after the gymnosperm, there is a magical group which is called as the angiosperm. Now, this angiosperm group is a group of the flowering plant. Suddenly, the flower has emerged in the evolution. Before the angiosperm, there were no flowers in any other group of the plants. Whether it's algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, or gymnosperm, you will never find a flower in these particular groups of the plant. But suddenly, after the gymnosperm, on the evolutionary line, there is the origin of the angiosperm, and angiosperms are such a magical plant that they came up with the magical structure which is called as the flower. Now, as you know, there is a huge importance to this flower, and now these particular plants which are called as the angiosperms, they are now dominating the mother earth actually. But still, before the angiosperm, we have the various kinds of the plants on the mother earth, but beside, just they remain behind the angiosperm, and the angiosperm now in today's date is dominating the mother earth because of its remarkable adaptability towards the nature, and because of the magical structure called a flower is present in them. This flower structure has given competitive advantage to these angiosperm over these other groups of the plant, and that is why this particular angiospermic plant is dominating the mother earth now. Now the question arises, from where this angiosperms has came. Okay, naturally with the common sense, we can judge that they may have developed from the gymnosperm, because gymnosperms are plants which has a seed, and the angiosperms also produce the seed. Okay, and before that, in the group of the plant kingdom, you will never find a seed, right? So, with the common sense, we can correlate the angiosperms with the gymnosperm. But how? What is the exact cause? And when this exact thing has occurred, that the particular structures in the gymnosperms has got converted into the angiospermic flower, right? So there are many questions relating with the origin of angiosperm, and this particular topic is given separately in your UPSC main syllabus. That is why we should understand it very carefully. Although there are all the theories, okay, and not the concrete proof, but still we have to understand these theories because this theory hold a much importance regarding the origin of angiosperms. See, consider we are dealing with the paper 1 and the chapter number 3, which is called as the phanerogams, right? These under these phanerogams, we have to study the gymnosperms as well as angiosperms, and we are here at the origin and the evolution of angiosperm. That is how the angiosperms got originated and how the evolution occurred in the angiosperm. Okay, and after studying the origin, then you have to study the comparative accounts of the various systems of classification of the angiosperm. That is how the angiosperms are classified, how different types of the angiosperms like monocots and dicots are separated from the one another. After studying that, then and only then you have to go for the various families, various angiospermic families. Okay, so today we are going to understand what is the meaning of the origin and the evolution of the angiosperm. Now consider the introductory slide. See, the origin of angiosperm is still a mystery. Okay, we don't know much about how these flowering plants have got originated on the mother earth. See, these angiosperms appear rather suddenly in the fossil record with a no obvious ancestor for a period of about 80 to 90 million years prior to their appearance. Okay, see, what is difficult regarding the angiospermic origin is that we suddenly find their fossil record. Okay, suddenly we came to know that there are some fossil record in which we find the angiospermic plants on the mother earth, and when we try to trace that from where this fossil record is coming, we do not find any ancestor regarding this fossil record. For example, you have find out one plant with the typical leaf system, and it has the flower like structure, and its fossil is found. Okay, but this fossil came from which ancestor? This is still a mystery. Okay, and that is why they were suddenly appear on the fossil record. What we have regarding the origin of angiosperm is the fossil record of the angiosperm. Whatever the fossils are there 80 to 90 million years prior to their appearance, we do not find any ancestor. But whatever the fossil record is there, fossil record is definitely showing there were the angiosperms. Okay, and some of these angiosperms also got extinct. And these angiosperms are found today, now found in the form of fossil record. But from where this fossil record has originated? Okay, if for example the XYZ type of the fossil were found, and this XYZ type of the fossil were showing the flowering plant like feature, then what is the ancestry of this particular plant species which is called XYZ? This ancestry we do not know about this, okay, because the tracing the fossil record back, it is not easy thing for the angiosperms, because you are not going to find anything. So what we know, that the or angiospermic plants are suddenly appeared on the mother earth, and we suddenly find them in the fossil record. Okay, not even a fossil leaves or the pollen are known from this earlier time. Okay, before the appearance, before the 80 to 90 million years ago, prior to their appearance, you will never find any kind of the angiosperm. So after the fossil record, once the fossil record is there, we definitely say that the angiosperms has originated at that time. But before that period, you will not find any trace of angiosperm. So you can say that on the evolutionary line, the angiosperms has appeared suddenly. Okay, there is a sudden appearance of these angiosperms on the mother earth, and we have the fossil record of it. But the whatever the ancestry of the fossil record is there, that ancestry is still missing. That is why we say the angiosperm, origin of angiosperm is still a mystery. Okay, we don't know exact how these angiosperms have got originated, right? See, the fossil records of the angiosperms also support their appearance full-fledged in the lower to the upper Cretaceous period. Okay, so which period is there? We have understood the geological time scale. In the geological time scale, there is a Cretaceous period, right? In this particular Cretaceous, whether it's a lower or the upper Cretaceous period, in that period, these particular angiosperms have got originated, and this Cretaceous period shows the much of the fossil record for these particular angiosperm. And before this Cretaceous period, you will never find their ancestry. Okay, from where these angiosperms have actually created, we don't know how the pollen grains have created, right? These are definitely coming from the gymnosperms. How the different parts of the flower, for example, the calyx and the corolla, then the then we have the perianth, right? Then we have the androecium and the gynoecium, right? Various kinds of the structures are present in the flower as well, right? So from where these all structures have came, okay, and this is still a mystery, because the conversion of a male sporophyll or the female sporophyll in the gymnosperm, how they have got converted into the calyx, corolla, and androecium and gynoecium, we don't know about it. Okay, because calyx, corolla, androecium, and the gynoecium, these complex structures forms the flower, and this flower is considered as a very compact structure in the plant body. Now, if we talk about the gymnosperm, we talk about the male and the female sporophylls, okay, or the cones. Okay, there are male cones and there are female cones, but in the angiosperm you will find the male sexual organ as the angiosperm and the female sexual organ as a gynoecium. In the angiosperm, in the androecium, you will have the individual members called as the stamens, and in the gymnosperm you have the individual members called the carpels. But how these males and the female cones have got converted into the stamens and the carpels, okay, we don't know about it. Okay, whatever the angiosperms are there on the mother earth, they have directly appeared in the Cretaceous period, and they were there with the full-fledged flower. Okay, now see, the fossils of the age are so characteristic and the modern in the appearance, that most of them can refer unmistakably to the living families, general, even to some species. See, now whatever the fossil record we are finding at that time, these fossil records are so modern that you can actually assign this fossil record to the families, right? So today, whatever the families we find today for the angiosperm, these families were actually present at that time also. If you find a fossil record, these fossil records show some remarkable similarities with the today's families. So you can say that the angiosperm remain the same throughout the ages. Okay, and this angiosperm shows the very characteristic feature of the presence of the flower, and just by studying the flower, you can actually assign this fossil record to the present day families. So you can say that whatever the angiospermic flora today we have on the mother earth, this is very similar right from the beginning. Okay, and that is why whatever the fossil record we are finding, the today's modern families can assign to them, and that is why we say the much has not been changed for the angiosperm right from the Cretaceous period through the today's period. Okay, so when we talk about the fossil record, their fossil record is mainly coming from the Cretaceous period, and they were preserved as it is, and you can actually assign these particular members of the fossils to the present day families. They show remarkable similarities with each other. Okay, now see, consider this. See the forms of the cycads. Okay, cycads is the gymnosperm, and the conifers is also gymnosperm. See the forms of the cycads and the conifers, which long dominated the universe, were already pushed background, and the earth had now become, in fact, the earth's flowering plants, right? See what had happened after that. Because as you know, the gymnosperms were actually dominating before the angiosperm, right? So these gymnosperms suddenly have gone to the background because sudden there is an appearance of the angiosperm, and angiosperms were typically dominating the mother earth everywhere. And that is why these are cycads and the conifer, whatever the plants are there, large coniferous forest are there. There are vast number of the species of the cycads. They were dominating the mother earth. But as there is an appearance of the angiosperms suddenly on the mother earth, these angiosperms have taken aback the gymnosperms, and the angiosperms now today dominating the mother earth. Everywhere on the earth, if you go to the terrestrial habitat, if you go to the aquatic habitat, if you go to the xerophytic habitat, if you go to the hydrophytic habitat, everywhere you find the flowering plants. It is not like the algae, they were restricted to the aquatic habitat. That is, for the algae, aquatic habitat is necessary. And there are some gymnosperm which require typically the temperate climate. But this is not true for the angiosperm. Angiosperm on the mother earth, they were found on the every possible habitat. They were in the water, that is they were aquatic. They were on the terrestrial, that is they are terrestrial. They are xerophytic, they are hydrophytic, they are mesophytic. They were actually everywhere. And that is why what may have happened at that time, we don't know about it, but the dominating plant species of the gymnosperm suddenly were taken to the background or pushed to the background, and suddenly the angiosperm starts to dominate the mother earth. Okay, so on the mother earth everywhere you find the presence of the flowering plants. Now Charles Darwin called this sudden appearance of the angiosperm as an abominable mystery. Okay, so this is the words of the Charles Darwin. The Charles Darwin is saying that we cannot break this mystery. We cannot actually judge this mystery, how this has happened. Suddenly, the gymnosperms were got converted into the angiosperms, and angiosperms they push back the gymnosperm in the background and starts to dominating the mother earth. Now, what is this mystery? How this has happened? What changes in the environment may have occurred to transform the various kinds of plants into the angiosperms, and then the starting of the angiosperm as a dominating plant on the mother earth, right? So all these mysteries are there. Even the Charles Darwin is saying that this is the larger mystery. We cannot define this mystery. We cannot break this mystery, right? So earlier there were the cycads, conifers, that is the gymnosperm that dominating the mother earth. But later, suddenly there is the appearance of the angiosperms, and they were pushed to the background. And now the angiosperms were dominating the mother earth. And this mystery is also added by the Charles Darwin as well. Okay, now see the origin of the dicots. Okay, see once we know that how these particular angiosperms have originated, and we don't know answer for it, right? Then we should go for the individual groups, that how these particular dicotyledon plants. Okay, this is one of the class in the angiosperms, right? So that dicotyledons, so the which shows the two cotyledons in their embryos, and they were the flowering plants. Okay, so first of all, let us consider if we get some clue regarding the origin of the dicots. So in the process we will have the clue of regarding the origin of angiosperm. Okay, now see, the dicots are the most important, and they were appeared, they have supposed to have originated before the angiosperm, monocotyledons. Okay, so in general there is a statement that the dicotyledons have originated before the monocotyledons. Okay, this is an important statement, and going to repeat many times. Okay, and that is why sorry, you have to understand it carefully. So here there is a one generalization that these are particular dicotyledons were earlier originated on the mother earth, and from these dicotyledons the monocotyledons may have got originated. That is the first origin of the angiosperm. They were originated in the form of dicot, and after the dicots there is the origin of the monocots. Okay, so the plants with the two cotyledons that originated on the mother earth earlier than the plants with the one cotyledon. Okay, now see, it is thought that for the first time the dicotyledons appeared in the early Mesozoic era, or the perhaps the late Paleozoic era. So the early Mesozoic era or the late Paleozoic era considered as the origin of these dicotyledonous plants. Okay, so the important structure important point to write down in the UPSC mains examination is that the origin of the dicotyledons in which era? Okay, in the early either in the early Mesozoic era or in the late Paleozoic era they have originated, and after the origin of the dicotyledons there is the origin of the monocotyledons. So remember it for forever that the dicotyledons were present earlier on the mother earth, and from these dicotyledons through the reduction evolution the monocotyledons have got created, right? See, the oldest known fossil of the dicots are from the lower Cretaceous rocks. Okay, as you know, when you talk about the angiosperm, the period came to our mind is the Cretaceous period. So the whatever the dicotyledons, we have the fossil record of the dicotyledons right from the Cretaceous rock. Okay, so from this slide you came to know that the dicots are the plants which come first on the mother earth and then the monocotyledons. Although both are belonging to the angiosperm, but within the angiosperm, the dicots were the first plants to dominate on the mother earth, and from these dicots, the monocots have got created. Now, these dicotyledons may have got originated in the Mesozoic era or the late Paleozoic era, and its fossil record can be traced to the lower Cretaceous period. Okay, now see. It is generally believed and agreed that the dicotyledons have originated from the gymnosperm. Now, here comes the important point. So, when we talk about the origin of angiosperm, we do not have clear-cut idea. Then we go for the dicotyledons, okay? And now these dicotyledons, we are saying they were originated in the Mesozoic to the Paleozoic era, and these were the first plant before the monocotyledons, and from these dicotyledons, the monocotyledons have got created. But again, the question comes, from where these dicotyledons have originated? So the probable answer for this is that the dicotyledons may have originated from the gymnosperms. Okay, so the evolutionary line, how the evolutionary line may have got created here. Consider this is the first group which is called gymnosperm, and these gymnosperms were dominating the mother earth. And from this gymnosperm, the dicotyledons have got created. And after the dicotyledons, from these dicotyledons, the monocot have got created. So on the evolutionary line, we have first the gymnosperm, then we have the dicot, and from the dicot we have the monocotyledons. So gymnosperms, dicotyledons, and the monocotyledons. So the dicotyledon, a class of the angiosperm, were first to appear on the mother earth, and they have probably got originated from the gymnosperm of a type something different from the present day form of the gymnosperm. So whatever the gymnosperm that were present at that time, from that gymnosperm there may have been the origin of the dicot, and from this dicot the monocots may have got originated. So very interesting story we have here is that the dicotyledons, the first appeared on the mother earth in the form of angiosperm, and these dicotyledons may have got created out of the gymnosperm, and these gymnosperms are not the present day gymnosperm, but whatever the gymnosperms were present at that time. And from this gymnosperm, these dicots have got originated, and from this dicot, the monocot have got originated. Okay, so this type of the theory is actually built up, and these actually having the fossil record backing as well as the morphological evidences as well there, and these gymnosperms are quite responsible for creating the dicots, and then the dicots are responsible for creating the monocot. Now, when you combine the dicot and the monocot, this will directly create the angiospermic phylum, right? So the subkingdom of the angiosperm is got created out of the dicots and the monocots. But the first thing you have to remember is that the dicot were first originated from the gymnosperm, and from the dicot, the monocotyledons have got originated. Now, see, according to the some similarities noted in these two groups, which two groups? The gymnosperms and the dicots. Okay, so the some similarities are there between the gymnosperms and the dicot. Based on these similarities, the development seems to be the parallel one. Okay, so whatever the similarities, morphological similarities are there in the gymnosperms as well as in the dicots, these morphological similarities are giving them the development, their development seems to be parallel with each other due to these similarities. Whatever the structures which are found in the gymnosperm and whatever the structures which are found in the dicotyledons, they looks very similar, that we thought that they were developing parallelly, that is they were evolved parallelly with one another, or some respect convergent development of the two groups is there. Convergent means the gymnosperms and the dicots are converging into the one another, that is they were having the convergent development. Generally, when we say the convergent development, that is their bases are different, but the apex, at the apex they were mixing with each other, just like the development is there. This type of development is called as the convergent development. Firstly, they have the parallel evolution with the one another, and after that there is a emergence of the single species out of it, or single new group out of it, which is called as the dicotyledons. So here we have the proof regarding the gymnosperm and the dicot similarity. We can thought that these gymnosperms and dicots may have parallelly evolved with one another, and finally they may have the convergent development. And due to this, the dicots have got created out of the gymnosperm, and after getting created out of the gymnosperms, the dicot actually have got created the monocotyledons. And in this way, the angiosperms may have got originated on the mother earth. Right now, see the origin of monocot. Okay, now see, this is the subject of the great controversy, because when we say the monocot, we should say that they are coming from the dicot, and from where these dicots have came, they are coming from the gymnosperm, and these dicots will create the monocot. Okay, but still this is the debatable topic, that how these particular monocots have got originated on the mother earth. See, it is of a great controversy. For some time this was thought that the monocotyledons were more primitive than the dicotyledons. See, earlier when there were the no enough research, what they were thinking, that the monocotyledons were the primitive plants and the dicotyledons were advanced plants. That is, they were thinking in the reverse direction. That is, the monocots have originated earlier, and from this monocots the dicot have may got created. That is, the monocots were considered as a primitive group and the dicot were considered as an advanced group, and probably have gone have gave rise to the dicotyledons. So the reverse theory was there earlier, in the earlier time, before there were not much research on this particular subject, and we were thought that the whatever the monocotyledons are there, they may have come earlier on the mother earth, and after that they may have got created the dicotyledons. Okay, from one quad to two quad may have got created. Okay, this type of theories were earlier there, but these are not true any further. Okay, we have definite evidence that the dicotyledons were the plants which earlier came to the mother earth, and after the dicotyledon there is a monocot formation, right? So here earlier when we talk about the origin of monocot, there were the earlier research which were saying that the monocots have appeared on the mother earth first, after that there is a formation of dicot, but this is a completely wrong notion. Okay, now see, now this belief has been totally given up. Okay, because this is a wrong belief, and this particular belief has totally given up. It is now generally thought that the dicotyledons were more primitive, and they have given rise to the monocotyledons. Okay, so dicotyledons were now considered as a more primitive, and they have got actually created the monocotyledons. Okay, now this is very clear. Okay, you should be very clear about that the gymnosperms have given rise to the dicot, and dicot have given rise to the monocot. Now this is the accepted notion. Okay, you can directly write it down in the UPSC mains examination, that whenever you talk about the origin of angiosperm or the origin of monocot or dicot, there is a one straight line in which the gymnosperms are creating the dicots and the dicots were creating the monocots. So never thought that the monocots were the primitive plants or the earlier plants. Actually, these monocots were the advanced plants than the dicot, because dicots were the first plant in the form of angiosperm that were came on the earth, and after the dicot there is a formation of the monocots. Okay, now see, it is also believed that the monocotyledons were offshoot of the primitive dicotyledons back in the early Mesozoic era. So now it is clear that from the Mesozoic era we have the traces, we have such a traces that the dicot, whatever the dicot tree is there, the offshoot of this dicot tree is the monocot. Okay, so whatever the monocotyledons are there on the evolutionary line, they were the offshoots of the dicotyledons. So the dicotyledons were the primitive plants, and from these primitive plants the monocotyledons may have got originated. They are thought to be the monophyletic, that is that is of a one origin in their origin. Okay, so the monophyletic origin is there for these monocotyledons, because they were coming from the one group of the dicotyledons. So if they are coming from the one origin, they are generally considered as a monophyletic. Okay, and according to the another conception, the monocotyledons are not monophyletic but the polyphyletic in origin. Now this is the debatable topic. Once you have the dicot on the mother earth, from this dicot the various lines may have got arisen. If the monocotyledons are the product of only one line, then it is called as the monophyletic, and if there are the many lines which are combined together to produce the particular kind of the group which is called the monocotyledons, then it is considered as a polyphyletic origin. So whether it's a monophyletic origin or the polyphyletic origin, this is the topic of debate. Okay, but one thing is sure, that the monocotyledons have developed from the dicotyledons, and the dicotyledons are the primitive plants and the monocotyledons are the advanced plants. Okay, now consider this. The fundamental problem must be dealt with whether the angiosperms are the monophyletic, that is they were derived from the single ancestor, or the polyphyletic, that is they were descendant from the group of the common ancestor. So here the common question came, that whether the angiospermic origin is monophyletic or the polyphyletic. Whether the angiosperms that were coming from the gymnosperm, these have the monophyletic origin or the polyphyletic origin. So we don't know about the monocots origin, whether it's a monophyletic or the polyphyletic. But when we consider the broad group, that is the angiosperm, which will include the dicot as well as monocot. Then we have to know that whether this particular angiospermic group is monophyletic origin or it is polyphyletic in origin, whether it is coming from the single ancestor or whether it is coming from the group of common ancestors, right? See, let us consider the view regarding the monophyletic origin. See, as a group, the angiosperms have typically been viewed as a monophyletic. Okay, when you talk about the whole angiospermic group, we generally say that they have the monophyletic origin. However, no definite fossil evidence are available in favor of monophyletic origin, because we don't know anything about in the fossil record to show that all the angiosperms are coming from the one single ancestor. That is, there is a common ancestor and all these angiosperms are coming from these ancestors. Okay, so whatever the ancestry are there, these are particular ancestry, whether it is the monophyletic or coming from the single ancestor, this is not clear. We do not have any definite fossil evidence regarding this particular theory, that is whether it is coming from the common ancestry or not. And if there are no evidences, we have to reject that notion. Okay, so monophyletic origin of the angiosperm, it is not backed by the fossil evidences, and hence we cannot say that the angiosperms are monophyletic in origin, right? See, this view is based on the fact that the present day angiosperms are remarkably consistency, shows the remarkable consistency in their character. See, why the monophyletic type of the origin is admired. Okay, when you talk about the monophyletic origin, the common ancestry should be there. Okay, and this common ancestry should common ancestral characters should be present in the every kind of the plant present today. Okay, so every kind of a plant which has the characteristic feature of the angiosperm which is coming from the common ancestry should have the common type of characteristics, and this type of common type of characteristics were actually present in the present day angiosperms, and that is why monophyletic origin is backed by this remarkable consistency. See, if you observe the flowers of the different angiosperm, you will find the remarkable consistency. There is an androecium, there is a gynoecium, calyx, corolla, apicalyx, some variation there, unisexual flower are there, bisexual flowers are there, but actually all these flowering plants, they were showing the consistency in their structures. Okay, angiosperms, they were showing the remarkable consistency, and hence we came to we have to thought that they may have coming from the common ancestry, that is their origin maybe be the monophyletic type of origin, because of their remarkable consistency in their characters, right? That is the presence of the sieve tubes in all the angiosperms, then the uniform staminal structures in all the angiosperms, characteristic endothelial layer in their anther wall in all angiosperms, then there is a double fertilization and the formation of triploid endosperm in all angiosperms. Okay, which are considered as a defining characters of the angiosperm and support the monophyletic grouping. So if all these types of the characters were found common in all the angiosperm, they may have the common ancestry. They may have came from the one single point, and that is why they are showing this kind of remarkable similarity in all the angiosperm. So if the angiosperms are showing such a huge similarity, we have to thought that they may have come from the monophyletic origin, that their ancestry is common, because their structures, their formation of various structures in these angiosperms are very common. So this type of point makes us to think that they may have the common type of origin, that is their origin is the monophyletic in nature. See, the second view is the polyphyletic origin. See, the several phylogeneticists, including the Conquest Hughes Games, have argued that the angiosperms are polyphyletic. That is, they were not coming from the one common ancestor, but they were coming from the different types of the ancestors. See, for that is, the dicots and the monocots originated from the different primitive stocks at a different time and attained their present day status through the parallel convergent evolution. See, what they are saying, the dicots are coming from the one line and the monocots are coming from the one line, and now due to the convergent evolution, they were showing the similar type of characters like the flower. So their dicot origin is different, monocot origin is different, and that is why the polyphyletic origin concept is there, because they were saying the different lines for the dicotyledons, different line for the monocotyledon, and after the parallel evolution and the convergent evolution, these lines were showing the similar characters like the flowers. Okay, so when you talk about the polyphyletic origin, the polyphyletic origin says that there are the many types of the ancestors for the angiosperms. For example, the dicots is coming from the one line, the monocots are coming from the one line, and they are having the parallel type of the evolution, and due to this convergent evolution, they may have merged with one another to show the common characteristics like the flowers, right? Now see, the theory of the polyphylesis is also supported by the fossil records of the variety of the perianth and the nature of the carpel in both the monocots and the dicots. Okay, because there is a similarity that the perianth and the nature of the carpel were found in both the monocots and the dicots. They were came to know that they may have the polyphyletic type of origin, because the variety of the perianth, the different types of the perianths, and the nature of the different types of the carpel led us to think that the polyphyletic origin for the angiosperm may have been there, right? Because the variety of structures are there. See, the polyphyletic origin of the angiosperm is further supported by the fact that the primitive orders of both the monocots and the dicots do not show close relationship with their characters. Okay, because of the difference between the monocots and the dicots, whatever the ancient monocots and dicots are there, they do not show any type of the similarity with the one another, and that is why we have to say they may have got originated from the polyphyletic origin, right? That is, there say as the variety is there, there is a large difference between the monocots and the dicots. Due to this, they may have got originated from the many ancestors, right? So we have considered both the types of the origin, that is the whether it is the monophyletic or the polyphyletic origin. So majority of the time we came to know that monophyletic origin must be there, because the angiospermic flower were remarkably showing the consistency with one another. Okay, and they were, if they were showing the consistency, they may have got originated from the common ancestral point, that is the origin may have been monophyletic. But at the same time, when you consider their classes, for example the monocot and the dicot, you come to know the different variety of structures in between them, and there is a significant difference between the monocots and the dicots. So from this point of view, the monophyletic as well as the polyphyletic type of origin, both type of origin has got supported. But still, thus from the fossil records suggests that the angiosperms as the group are monophyletic in origin. That is, if you consider the origin of the angiosperm as a group, then you can say that it may have been the monophyletic type of origin, and their families or the groups of the families may have been the polyphyletic in origin. That is, when you consider about their families, they may be polyphyletic, but when you consider the angiosperm as a single group, they may have been the uh, monophyletic type of origin, and for the families or for the groups of the families, there must be the polyphyletic type of origin. Okay, however, the recently phylogenetic analysis using the nuclear DNA, then the mitochondrial and the plastid gene sequences have aided in clarifying the relationship between the various kinds of the angiospermic families. So when we take the nuclear DNA, mitochondrial DNA, or the plastid, that is the chloroplastal DNA, and analyze their genes, we came to know that there is a relationship between the genes of all the angiosperms. That is, they may have the common ancestry, and these are genes were present in them are coming from the common origin. So the monophyletic type of the origin for these families as well as for the angiosperms can be supported, but the concrete statement is that the angiosperms are typically monophyletic in origin as a group, while their families may be the polyphyletic in origin. Okay, so this is all about this topic. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like this video, share this video with your friends who are studying the botany, and if you haven't subscribed to the Botany Abstract channel yet, please subscribe to the Botany Abstract channel for UPSC examination. Again, thank you very much for giving your time. See you in the next video lecture. Thank you.